What's going on, boys? Just gonna make another video. I had some good feedback about my Mirage progression utility, so um, thought I'd make just another one and just see how far we can grind this thing out. There's obviously a lot of things that we keep kind of hidden or secret, I guess, or more so we try and implement them into our teams rather than show them to everyone, but that's fine. I mean, we'll just see where this takes us, right? So today I'm just going to go over some cache counter flash fundamentals or pop flash fundamentals, so as CT. So we're going to zone this into like 3 zones, right? So you got your A site, highway, with 4 zones, vent, and B main, right? So let's start over at A, right? So usually in general, you would have your A site player. Start around, probably go fork, listen for A main, hold this smoke, throw the smoke down, whatever, however you guys want to play it, right? But in general, once they actually are executing onto the site, so the T's, they throw their utility, smoke, this, defense small there, and door might be open, and this guy will Molotov fork, however it goes down, right? Your A site player is usually going to be around this area, and these days you can't just hold this line because I feel like there's that really good pop flash that everyone throws, and it's really hard to deal with because you just get blind, come back, and they overwhelm you on the site, right? So if you are playing the A site, as soon as that utility comes in, your highway player, right, should be calling one of 2 things, right? This is what I implemented in my team. So you're either flashing the back or you're flashing the front. If you're flashing back, that means you're flashing towards the back high of the site, right? So anywhere around that A sign. So for example, if I'm playing highway, I say, yep, this guy, yep, the threat coming out A, coming out of main, coming out of main. So I'm flashing back for you. And that way, if you see where that lands, people can actually, like, the T's will just get completely blind. And your A site player can peek off it from here, can peek like this, can peek from quad, can even peek from fence, depending on his positioning, right? But he has to basically turn from it. If he's playing here, he can kind of peek with the flash. So that's why it's important to call flashing back, right? Because he knows that he can peek with the flash, no problems. If you're flashing front, a flashing front can be just defined as like flashing up there, right? Which is a really good fucking counter flash, to be honest. Or like flashing front can be considered on the ground as well. What a lot of highway players like to do is like if the exit comes in, they'll throw the flash like that, quickly come up and just search for people around this area, because what people do is once they get blind, they just kind of hide at these boxes, wait until they get unblind and then strafe the site. So if you are counter flashing front, it might be a good idea to just come up, because you got to remember the smoke will be down as well, right? So flashing front, take a look, nothing. If you want to take it a step further, right? But sometimes if there's nothing, it's actually better to take a first contact. So let's say you flash back, right? Your teammate peeks, he like gets blind again or whatever, he has to come back. The T's are probably going to be all around this area, right? So if you can get like a first contact, so you spray them as they cross like this line, you get a contact on them. It's like a really good crossfire, right, that you can do above the smoke. In any case, flashing back, flashing front, right? The rotators from B, I usually put a general concept where the B rotator should usually come through Z and make sure that there's no late mid flank. So that includes checking highway, and then he can, if the fight is still going on, he can throw those flashes. But if he's going to truck for whatever reason, he can easily flash back, right? You have to call that you're flashing backs by throwing that flash there. So that blinds anyone coming out of A main as well. So pretty much your teammate can hear that comm, flashing back, bang, peek, and then flashing back again, peek, or flashing front, peek. You know what I mean? It's like a really good thing. I think MRBR are doing it now, but in general it's like a well-known kind of counter flash fundamentals for A site. So I'm not going to go over the pop flashes into A main at the moment. This is more so counter flashing and supporting your teammates. For your highway player, usually you're going to have a rifler playing here. I don't really like playing the AWP, but it's good to mix the AWP in sometimes, right? So in general, maybe your AWP will come out Z and smoke and then run over to A or whatever it might be. then your highway player is playing here. Now if he gets a fight of people coming through the smoke, mind you he still has a re-smoke if needed. He takes a fight, he asks for the flash from A site, right? He might actually hear the thud of people dropping off boost as well. So you'll hear that sound there, and then he can call for the flash. Or he might just you know, get some fight dry contact as well. So once he actually gets that initial contact, he asks for the flash. Now your forklift player or your A rotator should be flashing above Z for him, right? And then always prepare to throw like a flash in succession. So like flashing for you, then just hold the other one rather than flood. I would say hold the flash, and then if he needs it again, flash, right? So if he's playing on highway box, he gets an initial fight, flashing again, like whatever, right? But he's able to get at least 2 free kills if you guys are flashing fast enough, and if you're in a position. So this guy should always be aware of what utility his A players have, but at the same time, his A players should be letting him know what utility they have. Now, if you have a player in the vent, whether that player's come straight through Z to vent, or whether he's been boosted from B main, it doesn't matter. The vent player should obviously be supported by 2 flashes. So the first one is if he needs it, his highway player, which would be jump spotting or whatever he's doing, flash above the vent for him, and make sure that like it's, I don't know, I feel like maybe if you aim a little lower these days, it might be beneficial, because if you think about it, your vent player is always kind of just waiting for the flash like this, then peek. So what's the point of flashing above vent? You might as well kind of just do something like that, because that way you got more chance of blinding the guys at the bottom mid looking at the vent, and also it gets anyone on the boost like pretty consistently, right? So there's that, and then he can peek boost or mid main off that flash, or check like pipe or whatever you guys call it. So he can just get flashed in, check, crosshair placement, check here for anyone blind, and then you have mid control again, right? Now the second thing is, like, if the T's actually molly out the vent, like it's usually very common that the T's will have someone waiting here, or they may even double molly it as well. But most commonly someone will be posted, right? So if the B players aren't playing heavy on checkers and B main, they always need to be prepared to do one of 2 things. So the first thing is you can flash, like he calls, yep, they're mollying vent, yep, I'm flashing for you, no prob, right? And then when your teammate drops out of the vent, they have a quick fight like this, like they're able to quickly fight or get out. You know what I mean? One of 2 options, right? Or at least get into checkers, or maybe they'll catch someone blind, right? The second option is like, basically it's like, it's not really a flash, but I mean, this isn't really part of the video, but I guess just to make your minds work a little bit is, if he gets flushed out the vent and you do have checkers control, then you should definitely peek with him and take that fight, because you don't want him getting caught falling back out of the vent. So the other thing is, the last part is obviously rotating from B. So I like to implement like a flood mentality. So if your players are still alive on the site, you should be flashing through heaven and flooding as soon as you can, right? If that's the plan, and if you guys have enough players alive. So obviously there is some specific flashes that you can throw, and the whole purpose of that is like you come here, like anywhere on this area, and just flash to the left, and it flashes like in front of the box, and that means like if you see the green line, the CTs can like peek with it, no problem, and they can peek to the right. But if you just kind of like wing the thing, like fucking like whatever, like it may go a little bit too deep, and you might blind your teammate, see, like, unless they push into the box. But sometimes they're actually taking fights and they don't have time to push into the box, so if you can take a second to line that up, that's pretty good as well. But in general, you should definitely always be flashing for your B players at all times when you're rotating. So that's kind of it at the moment. There is a lot more things that you can do individually at the site. So as I said, the A main takes, the squeaky door pop flashes, the A main pop flashes, the pop flashes over boost, the pop flashes, you know, into mid main, even if like you can cover like such ridiculous amount of stuff like the flash into the skylight, which will get anyone here. Like there's a lot of tricks that you can do. I mean the flashes here, if you really wanted to, but there's not really, it's not really the point of the video at the moment. It's kind of more like to support your teammates as you're moving around the map with flashes, whether that's through B Heaven, whether that's for your highway player, whether that's for your A site player, whether it's for vent, whether it's for the guy falling out of vent. Just make sure that you always equip yourself and you're in a position to flush, and that way you won't give up as many first easy kills, and you'll have a lot more like 4v3s as a CT, which is pretty favourable. So yeah, that's kind of it for this video, boys. Let me know some feedback and if I should keep doing this sort of stuff.